Hello, welcome to the Driven with Purpose Summit. I'm your host, Rebecca Luna. Today, I am so stoked to introduce you to an AI, ancestral intelligence and constellation expert. Gary Stuart is an international best-selling author, speaker, personal development expert. He's the creator of the innovative Constellation Healing Oracle card deck, an author of AI, Ancestral Intelligence, Constellation Insights from Beyond, with its companion AI Guided Journal. His other books include Master Your Universe, How to Star and Direct in Your Own Life, plus Many Hearts, One Soul. Gary Stewart is a two-time #1 international best-selling author, speaker, personal development expert for over 45 years, a master constellation healing facilitator for over 22 years. He's featured on the Dr. Nandi Show globally for ABC TV. Welcome, Gary. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and pleasure. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
The pleasure is all mine. So let's get into this. Today, we'll be talking about unlocking ancestral obstacles from the past that block your future. So when we talk ancestral, are we going back generations? How many generations are we going back here?
Could be hundreds. It's up for grabs how far back we can go. When we do a constellation process, it's generally a group process where you have representatives to be your dead ancestors. So it's very shamanic in a way that we're tuning into the conscious field around the DNA. So say you had a potato famine in Ireland in your Irish heritage, what we find is the trauma of the grief of not being able to feed your family and your family dying or losing babies or whatever. Now, mind you, there's still you're here because of it. So we know that we inherited the survivor skills, but the unresolved emotions because it wasn't safe in the Holocaust to cry while you were being gassed or to grieve while you're starving to death. So what we find is the emotional consciousness travels with the DNA, and we're basically recycled snippets of our ancestors' DNA put together in a new way. So whatever was unresolved in the previous generations, in a way we carry in the conscious field that's around our DNA.
So you said there's snippets of our DNA that's carried on from generations. So today, how much, like, would it be an eighth? Would it be less than an eighth? What would the measurement be that I am carrying today from my ancestors from 100 years ago?
Yeah, it's microscopic, but don't forget it's passed down for generations. So your hair color, look at people in your family. Why do you have hair color? Why do Scandinavian have generations of blonde and blue eyes? Why do people of African descent have, more melanin in their skin depending on where in Africa they might have came from? They have a certain color skin, whether it's a dark black, light black. And so all these genetic traits, but then you have the oddball in a family. Like in my family, we have one strawberry redhead who just out of the blue. So you look at many families that someone gets the recessive genes of, say, the redhead in the family when there's no other redheads, or somebody, they all may be, like in my family, I inherited the Scotch part of the DNA with kind of fair skin and greenish blue eyes, whereas my other sister inherited the Italian side of my mother with brown hair and brown eyes. So you look at the individual DNA, how it recombines, but we're actually, it's kind of funny, we're all recycled.
We are.
Look at it. We're really recycled DNA of ancestors that came before. I pride myself with the constellation modality to separate yourself from the negative events that happened long before you were born, and they have a tremendous shadow in our lives. So what we do is we see what that shadow is, the conscious shadow, and we create a healthy boundary so we don't have to carry it anymore. We can let it recede into the history of the person it belongs to so we can be free of it.
Is there an emotion that is carried down that's most common with the generations?
Yes, absolutely. Hands down, two: guilt and grief.
Oh, wow. Powerful.
No question whatsoever. No question whatsoever. In society, of course, and religion reinforce that because you can be controlled by those emotions. Oh, also fear. I would say fear. We're hardwired as animals. We're human, but we are also in the animal world. So if you look at any bird that's singing outside on a tree every day, a hawk could swoop down and kill it. So every time that bird is singing, it could be its last song, because in nature it's eat or be eaten. Well, humans are a little different. We might have Nazism, a famine, political turmoil, a tsunami, a hurricane. So we have all these external traumas like the weather or whatever, but we're still, some survive, some don't. So we would still carry the fear with us. Oh, a tornado could come and get us. Oh, a Nazi could come and get us. Oh, we could starve to death. So we carry those fears, but generally every generation, it starts as fear, and then every generation, you better not do that. You better not run across the street. So they're guilting you into subordination to behave the way the family wants you to behave. Generally, it's out of love, but it's instilling fear in the child. Don't touch the stove. No, don't touch that. Your hands will get dirty. Now wash your hands. Why did you touch that? Oh, what even there? And the kid is there, I can't do anything right. So then you wonder why the child is made to feel guilty. You can't do anything right. So it would carry, I can't do anything right, into its adulthood. And then they wonder why they're a victim of life and not empowered. Well, you were taught disempowerment by your parents trying to protect you from life. They actually subvert your curiosity to say, what's this about? I want to learn about this. Wow, this is exciting. No, 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 you'll hurt yourself. So see, just me explaining it shows you how guilt, shame, fear start to control us. And it takes a lot to get out of the family programming.
How can somebody recognize this pattern and consciously just decide that they no longer want to be part of that? How can they break something like that?
Well, that's why people come to constellations. They feel they're suffering in a way. And when I say all the suffering, if you made it this far, I say in my book, AI, Ancestral Intelligence, basically, for you to be alive right now means your ancestors made all the right choices. You wouldn't exist. They would have died. They would have went extinct. But because the choices they made, as dysfunctional as they might be, you're here because of it. So there's a beauty in the dysfunction. It's very paradoxical. It's like we're taught about life in the worst way possible. And I joke about it. It's like if we can survive our parents and family, we can survive anything life throws at us.
It's true. It's true. Sometimes we think our parents are like worse than somebody else's, or sometimes we're just more. Yeah, it's as though we're never happy. It's always the grass is greener on the other side, but we don't know. Yeah. Right. This is so fascinating. I love this. Tell me more about how this is carried on. So just enlighten us more about this wonderful and fascinating topic here.
Yeah. Well, it's like there's also there's very complex emotions involved. So if you start to look at family systems, they're a group, right? So you become loyal to the mindset of the family. So if you come from a Jewish family that weathered the Holocaust, and you're here because they survived Auschwitz, and think of the amount of guilt they're going to give you if you're a happy Jew in the 21st century. Everyone is like, oh, this grief, they almost got killed, Hitler almost got us all, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is long after the Holocaust. And what if you say, oh, okay, well, we're not in the Holocaust anymore. I'm happy. I want to blah, blah, blah. They're going to say, no, this is over. How dare you be happy? You're just honoring your ancestors because you're not depressed like them. So sometimes every generation has to fight to get their own identity and to be separate from the family. And many people get rejected by that. Do you know Christina Goebbels, of Hitler's engineer of Auschwitz, was Goebbels, his Nazi director of torture? His daughter, Christina Goebbels, his granddaughter, did constellations in Germany, and the whole family rejected her for even assuming that her perpetrator grandfather did bad things with Hitler. That's the 21st century. They don't want to admit the guilt or pain that they did something wrong. So their denial is another powerful force. People deny they do bad things because they feel too guilty if they accept it. Oh, yes, your grandfather was a Nazi perpetrator. So they're still in denial 80 years after it's been proven that he exterminated people for the Third Reich in his own family. I just found that fascinating. There was a documentary about her, and it was just absolutely fascinating how rejected she was by her German family for challenging them about World War II atrocities with Adolf Hitler.
So you recently went on a retreat, right? To tap into more of your spirituality and just to get some clarity. Let's go into that and how somebody who's carrying all this grief can
Absolutely.
shift out of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of us carry grief from our family system. Don't forget, I say this jokingly, I have a meme out. We all come from a long line of dead people. But we do. It's true. I mean, all our ancestors are dead. We're lucky if we know our great grandmother or great grandfather. Most of us know our grandparents, or we might have been children when they died. So we really don't have that ancestral link to available. Maybe in Europe because you live with your grandparents or other cultures, but in America, you're pretty isolated in your little perfect box. They want you with your two cars and color TVs and, all capitalized, so to speak. So it's a different mindset. And I went on a personal retreat and realized, now here's one thing I want your audience to know: love is not codependence. Codependence is not love. If you really love your child or the being you're bringing into the world, you'll love them. If they want to be a musician, you'll encourage them to be a musician. But sometimes the family will say, no, you got to be an engineer. In my case, I was told I was going to be a mechanical engineer. I hated it. I hated math. I loved drawing art, but I didn't like drawing machines. That's what my father wanted to be. He never went to school to do it. So what does he do? He foists that on me. I have no interest in him. In the 8th grade, I went to the guidance counselor, and she said, "You're going to be a mechanical engineer?" I said, "Yeah, that's what my father wants." She said, "You know you're suited for public speaking and radio?" Now, how ironic. That's where I ended up. But they could tell when I was in the 8th grade that was the wrong career for me. I was trying to please them to make them happy, and it didn't serve me at all. So on my retreat, I really learned that I wanted to be an artist since I was a teenager. And now I'm finally creating art. I got invited to a gallery to present in March. And I feel so happy and so fulfilled that I waited 53 years of doing what I was supposed to and not following my heart's purpose. And now, talk about being driven with purpose. Now that's what, and things are just opening up so fast. It's beautiful.
And how long have you been doing all this, or how long did it take you to really get into your purpose?
Well, I mean, so the purpose moves, it's a moving target. So when I was in my early 30s, I discovered stand up comedy. I really wanted to be on stage doing that. I did it for about 12 years. I didn't get discovered. That's why I came to California to get discovered. Then that kind of wore out. Then I got into the healing arts and I was getting all this like downloaded information about why clients were suffering while I did massage. So the same higher self that guides me in constellations guided me as a massage therapist. So the funny thing is we're being guided through life, but we kind of don't listen to the guidance. So just lately when I did that retreat, I was really guided. Why are you waiting to do art? Here's the funny way it came to me. I said, okay, I could die in 10, 15, 20, 25 years if I'm lucky, and I'll get to the pearly gates and St. Peter will say, you helped everyone else, but you didn't do anything for yourself. Why didn't you complete your life mission? And when I saw that image, I said, "Oh my God, I've been just trying to make the world happy that I'm here without making myself happy that I'm here." So really, that retreat really showed me, and it's fine to help humanity. I'm still a humanitarian, but why can't I put myself first? And that was my childhood upbringing. I had to make my parents happy. I had to be what they wanted me to be, which is codependence. That's not love. It's master's love. We love you, but we'll love you if you do this. We'll approve of you if you do that. If you make us happy, then we'll be happy with you. It's all codependence. There's no love or support there. It appears that way, but it's not.
Oh my gosh, tell me more. Let's go more into this.
So we all live with the false assumptions. So if we can't find our purpose, it's because we're living for our family or to make our parents happy or approval. So if you look at even myself, I mean, I had those realizations at 68 on that retreat. It's the first time I had unplugged in like 20 something years. And it's not that I don't like what I do. I love facilitating workshops. I love learning. I love being a public figure. I love writing books. But there was a piece of me that was avoiding myself. And I said, wow, I'm not making myself happy first. So because my mom was a narcissist, which I perceived, no disrespect to her, but I never wanted to be like them because I didn't like their traits or qualities. So I avoided anything that was me to make it we, which is not a
Yes.
bad thing. But I had this inner dialogue that was saying, well, don't be like your mother. She's a selfish bitch. And I didn't
The
want
mama.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be like that. So I to make her happy, I was like giving everything away to everyone but myself. So that weekend, it was actually a 4 or 5 day retreat. Taught me put me first. It's okay to put yourself first. It's your life. You're in your third act of your life. You could die in 5 to 15 to 20 years. What do you want to do with the rest of your time here? It's your time. It's your life. What would you like to complete
Right.
before you depart? So this
Right.
stakes are high. So I started, boom, after that weekend, it's hard. And then I did 3 constellation processes, group processes called organizational constellation. I put Gary facilitating workshops, Gary being an artist, Gary writing. All 3 groups with 3 different people. It went consistently. Art is 1, writing is 2, constellations is 3. Being a group leader. So I got 3 affirmations, and then the last time I did it, the person said, "I see this picture of the moon and the ocean, and I'm one with the universe." And that's the first thing I painted when I was 19 years old.
Oh, that's
And I was
beautiful.
Martha's Vineyard. I was a hippie sleeping on the porch in a sleeping bag. I said, "Well, let me go see the full moon tonight." I walked 20 feet to the ocean. The sun was gleaming on 3 rocks. And I mean, the moon was gleaming on 3 rocks, and it was just me standing there with the full moon and the water. And this person got that image when I was asking if art was the right career. She tuned in to the first thing I ever painted. I went home. I said, "I got to draw this. I'll never forget that moment." I felt like I was one with all of creation. And that came through her to affirm that I'm supposed to do art right now. No more postponing.
So speaking of you, tell
Yes.
me more about your books.
Yes, well, I have quite a few. A lot of them I've written about constellations because this field of constellation, it's teaching me. I try to keep a blank slate, like I know nothing. What I experience in the constellation, my clients are my teachers. Those family systems are my teachers with how guilt, shame, grief in a Jewish family, Italian family, any family, it's just, we're all a diverse species, but really emotionally, it's kind of, there's just fear, love, guilt, shame, grief, happiness, joy. It's really, there's only about 10 really basic emotions. Anger is in a lot of family systems, but that's a cover up for helplessness. So you start to learn these deeper lessons. So my latest book, which was the bestseller, was Ancestral Intelligence. I play with the computer age of artificial intelligence, but we all have much more intelligence than any computer could ever have. So I called it Ancestral Intelligence to get the word constellation out of it, because a lot of people think, oh, he's an astrologer, so the stars can be.
Right. Yeah.
It's not that at all. Bert Hellinger, who died September 19th at 94 years old, my teacher, and he certified me as well. When he saw the work, when he saw the grandmother placed here, the father went there, the kid collapsed on the floor, he said, "Oh, that's like a constellation, a picture in the sky that shows you a dog, a cat, Orion, it shows an bow and arrow." So he used that term, and that stuck with it. The positioning of your family paints a picture that says 1,000 words. And so that name stuck with it, but everyone thinks about astrology, but it's not. It's about the placement. Virginia Satir, who was one of the top psychologists at the time with Bert Hellinger back in the 60s, early 60s, she called it family sculpting, the architecture of your family. Why is the father here and the mother's over here being squashed by the father? She would look at it in that context. So they started to put emotions and theories in it, and it became constellations globally.
We also mentioned earlier that you have an oracle card deck. Will
Yes,
you tell
yes.
us about that, please?
Yeah, well, a lot of people can't get to a workshop. You might be in some rural location where there's a workshop 1,000 miles away or 500 miles away. So I developed constellation healing oracle cards so that you could use each card as a representative on a table with a group of friends or by yourself to get inner subconscious information. So you could do one. I've done a couple with people's businesses. I just did one the other day with someone's business, and what showed up was voice and self-expression. Now, mind you, I picked the cards randomly. She had 3 books on her desk about better vocal expression. And here I told her the answer to her business issue, the card I pulled was vocal self-expression. She's there. This is spooky. You're there. I'm in Detroit. You're here. I have 3 vocal expression. The card you pulled was my business needs me to have vocal self-expression. She's there. My God, another woman I did a business reading for, just random with the cards. This was live. She was sitting across the table from me. We did one for her business, and the card jealousy showed up. Oh my God, I know exactly who that is. She fired the woman for making numerous mistakes and being conniving in the office. And she said the energy of the whole office changed. She knew at that card reading what she had to do, get rid of the jealous person, and she was acting out her jealousy on the whole business. She runs a psychotherapy business on top of it, and with lots of counselors, and this person was a bad apple receptionist. So she had to get rid of her because she was there to cause trouble and create drama. But she knew from the card reading that's what she had to do. It took her a few weeks to watch her make a couple of mistakes, document it. She said the energy of the whole office changed when she got rid of the jealous, vindictive person on her staff. Because of the card reading, it solidified what she had to do, and it was totally random. She didn't intentionally pick the jealousy card. We just picked through the deck, and it shows us subconsciously what we need to do.
Does anyone go in for a follow-up reading with the cards just to see if the energy, what had changed?
Yeah. You can do it anytime, but it's ultimately there to empower people. And the funny thing is the constellation community is very slow to embrace this. One of the top facilitators bought it. She said, Gary, you're a genius. I've never seen anything like this. She said, I'm going to tell everybody I lead. She leads workshops globally. And she said, I'm going to tell everyone about this because you don't have to come to a workshop to get the same effect. You're data mining, you're subconscious about it. You could add romance, my health, pick the cards, do it with a couple people, see how you feel. Of course, I tune in to the emotional field with all my expertise if we do a card reading on Zoom or whatever. But so I have that extra skill set where I've been facilitating probably 13,000 processes over my 22-year career. So I can tune into the invisible like that and really conceptualize it and feed it back to you. But anyone can do it with a friend or whatever, like, oh, why did I get that card? Then on the back of the card, I have the description and guidance how to get out of jealousy, how to mitigate the anger. So there's also a resolution on the back of each card. There's 72 cards with 72 family dynamics and what they are and how to get out of it too. And then we always end with a bow to release ourselves, which that's going to be my gift here for our listeners today, is a bow and release card that they can do at any time without even buying the oracle cards. That they can do that for any situation in their life. Just say, I honor you've actually, by being obnoxious, you've taught me personal boundaries. Now I have my no because you're so obnoxious. I leave your obnoxious with you and I turn away with my no, and I'm not going to suffer with you anymore. And then you turn away with a healthy boundary and you're walking into the future without the energy of that obnoxious person entangling you in just a dissatisfying relationship.
And this can be done with multiple people, right? It doesn't have to be one-on-one.
Right. Yeah. And I prefer group workshops because if I'm adding a grandmother, a great-grandfather, a dead child, an accident, it's absolutely fascinating. And this field of consciousness actually it communicates through all of our bodies. Our bodies read the energy. It was so funny. I was doing One Woman Wanted Prosperity. I did a constellation, her first constellation. Her father had a Vietnam flashback when she was 10 years old. Her mother pushed her out of the bedroom to talk the father down or kill her. It was like the mother to save herself with the youngest child. She pushed her out when the father was having like a violent flashback. Luckily, she survived it. So a month later, she says, well, just I feel so good now, blah, blah, blah. But she also had to be conscious of her mother was sacrificing her to possibly be murdered or save her. Luckily, it turned out great, and she saved her mother from the violence, and she survived it. So months later, she said, well, my life, I feel so good now from that. Let's do another one. Why can't I make money? Why can't I make business? So we're starting the constellation. She touches a woman there on the back. You go behind them because your ancestral line comes behind us, and we're moving forward in life. Our ancestors are back here. So they touch them and say, okay. So this representative subconscious says, oh my God, I feel like I'm on a big ship. I'm just rocking. And I kept getting the word Titanic, and they know I wrote the book, Master Universe, How to Direct and Star in Your Own Life. So I said, oh, this is corny. Don't ask her about the Titanic. She'll think you're just a drip. So I said 3 times, Titanic. I said, I got to ask you about the Titanic. She said, my great-grandmother was the first one on the lifeboat of the Titanic because she was pregnant with my grandmother.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Didn't write that down on your sheet. She said, you wanted 100 years back? I just did my childhood in the 60s and 70s. I didn't go 100 years back. So what happened with that, now here's the ironic, the great-grandmother had survivor guilt. The grandmother wasn't a success in life from the same survivor guilt. Now the great-granddaughter couldn't make money. And you know what the equation that showed us up that night in the constellation field? There was so much guilt that they got to survive with all the dead frozen bodies around the lifeboat that they don't get any extras in life. Being alive is all you get. No extra frosting. You just get the cake of being alive. 2 weeks later, she calls me. So you're not going to, a university called me. They're paying me $5,000 a month to teach one class a week in English. And I said, so the Titanic's done? She said, oh my God. So she stopped paying a financial price for the guilt and shame about her great grandmother being a survivor. That's 120 years, 110, 120 years of the emotional patterns we're talking about reverberating in someone who wasn't even alive when the Titanic happened. That's in the new book, by the way. I'm working on a new book, Healing Human History, and the Titanic story is in there. I did 13 client history stories, one of my own with my father's World War II experience, to teach people how it has a lingering effect in our lives.
Where can our viewers get these books?
Amazon. I have an
Amazon.
author page, Gary Stewart's author page, Stuart. Just punch my name in, then you see a bunch of books, about 7 books plus the Oracle cards, and you just hit on whatever product you want to read about or whatever, and buy it if you like it. There's ebooks on them too, so you can get a very nominal expense to get an ebook on it if you prefer Kindle readers or whatever. But they're great books, and I really put my heart and soul. And some of my people didn't read my earlier books, and they read them and they said they're as fresh today as when you wrote them 10 years ago. So I really try to write for posterity to teach people so that after I do that, they'll say, wow, this guy really was thinking about a lot of stuff we don't take time to think about. And that's my what I want to give to humanity while I'm here in my writings.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Are there any upcoming events that you're going to be at that someone can attend?
Actually, you know, I pulled back on that because I'm following my heart and creating art. So I got my first art exhibit and my first gallery.
Yay,
I went to, yeah, so March 13th, I'll be exhibiting in Indio at the, I have the gallery right here. I was making the flyer last night. You'll get the flyer and invite. It's at the Coachella Valley Art Center in Indio. They're going to do 3 of my works on display. Now, mind you, I didn't start art till I got back from that retreat, and now I'm going to be in a gallery. It's like the universe is saying, hey, you committed to it. All the floodgates are opening.
Yeah, you're living in your purpose.
Yeah, I'm pulling away from workshops for a few months just to let it settle. But I already had another friend. She said, I have a really discounted place in Canada. Do you want to be in Vancouver Island on a private island with a huge campground and little cottages to do retreats at? So we signed up for 2 retreats there in 2021. It's a 2-year waiting period to do workshops because it's in such demand because it's on like a fjord in Vancouver. So I'm already signed up to do 3 retreats, 1 in Vancouver this summer and then 2 next summer. It's already on the dock. And yeah, my goal is to do retreats, but if I miss doing the work, I can either hold a brunch at my house. We did that last year. It was really nice, a constellation healing brunch. Or my friends in LA have a big healing center. I could go to LA, but I really want to make myself happy first rather than serve everyone else. So I said, I'm going to take 6 months to serve myself and see how I feel. And I've been happier than a clam. So and it's not that I'm not doing my writing. Writing was the art was one. Writing is the second. I'm working on 3 books, not actually 4 books at the same time. Even though 2 are waiting to be published, I have 2 more in the wings that I've already started writing. And I'm very happy writing them till 4 in the morning, all my ideas.
You're very blessed, Gary. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for your time. Can you tell our viewers where they can find you on social media or contact you?
Yeah. Generally, most of my social media handles are Gary Stewart Live. So Facebook.com, Gary Stewart Live. Instagram at Gary Stewart Live, Twitter at Gary Stewart Live. And don't forget, this is on my website, but we're going to send you the link as well to the bio card. That means anything that troubles you in your life, you can just say, okay, I had a tough time at work. okay, everything about this job that I can't stand, I'm leaving you all the negativity of that job. I'm only doing it for the money, and that's yours. I'm staying positive, moving towards my future without your negativity. So you're consciously creating a boundary to cut off what doesn't serve you to move towards what does serve you. And that's commonly called in the business empowerment. The goal is to empower you to take charge of your own life and not be victimized by anybody.
That's right. Empowerment. It is all about that. It's about we, not me.
Exactly.
Definitely. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you, Gary, for sharing these mind-blowing, interesting facts for us. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And thank you, viewer, for watching and being engaged with our guest, Gary Stuart. You have been watching the Driven with Purpose Summit. I am your host, Rebecca Luna, founder of Rebecca Luna Speaks. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as well. So remember, you have a life purpose that's ready for you to unleash and step into. And we'll see you on the next episode.